The Road to Autonomy is presented by the Road to Autonomy Index. The Road to Autonomy Index is a rules-based equity benchmark index that measures the performance of a basket of global companies that are involved in the development and commercialization of autonomy. Institutional investors and fund managers are watching megatrends that are shaping investment opportunities today. These megatrends are creating thematic investment ideas and opportunities for forward-thinking investors. We believe that one of the biggest megatrends today is autonomy. That's why we created the Road to Autonomy Index, the world's first and only pure-play index to track the thematic investment opportunity in autonomy. Follow the Road to Autonomy Index on your favorite finance app by simply typing in the ticker Autonomy. To learn more about the Road to Autonomy Index, visit roadtoautonomy.com/index. Hello and welcome to the Road to Autonomy. I'm your host, Grayson Brulte. On today's episode, we're absolutely honored to welcome Nils Jaeger, President, Volvo Autonomous Solutions, Volvo Group. Nils, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks a lot, Grayson. Great to be here. Thank you for the invitation.
I'm excited to have you here because Volvo Autonomous Solutions has a leadership position in autonomous trucking. Volvo Autonomous Solutions is scaling. Your reputation in the market is second to none. Putting this all together, how is the Volvo Group approaching autonomy?
Thanks a lot. It's a great question. For Volvo Group, we are a technology leader in the transportation space. And if we look at autonomy, then of course that is a significant opportunity for us. But we have a different approach for autonomy depending on the industry vertical we focus on. But nevertheless, if we think of it a bit more broadly, then it's always 3-4 main objectives which we have in focus as we're bringing autonomy to market. So for us, it's about safety. It's about providing a new additional freight or hauling capacity. It is very important to enable our customers' success using this technology. But then, of course, it always must include sustainability. Speaking to safety, we all know we continue to see accidents, we see fatalities, we see those on public roads, but we also see this in other workplace environments, like quarry, like mining applications. Then parallel, we see and experience the shortage of labor, skilled labor. In many industries, transportation is one of them, and particularly in the US, this is expressed by a significant shortage of truck drivers. And we are very confident that autonomy can actually help us closing the gap on truck drivers and on operators, but we also are sure that autonomy will improve safety standards on public roads. But we also are looking at the ability to remove the human being from a hazardous work environment like a quarry, like a mine, and we look at this as a big plus. Then, of course, when we speak about customer success here, it's about leveraging autonomous tech for productivity gains, for efficiency gains. Sustainability, which is, of course, core for everyone, combining our autonomy track with our electric and fuel cell technology paths will, of course, help to reduce CO2 reduction. So, long answer, but we take a rather fundamental encompassing approach to autonomy.
It's a holistic approach. It's a smart approach. You hit the nail on the head. Autonomy will improve safety. It will increase efficiency. It will reduce emissions. But me being the economist, it's going to lower the cost of goods. It's going to benefit the consumer at the end of the day. There's a lot of pluses in there. I love how Volvo AB from Autonomous Solutions, you're focused on quarries and mining as well as over-the-road long-haul trucking. Both are, in my opinion, long-term growth markets. Mm-hmm. Why was the decision made to focus on those two markets?
I think that's a good question. First of all, when we looked at autonomy, we were trying to understand the opportunity, and then we looked at this carefully, but then we also overlaid that where do we have experience, where do we have expertise, and which industry verticals are we already operating today? And because of that analysis, we then decided to go into quarry and mining, but also port logistics centers and into hub-to-hub. We know that we have more opportunities, but we are also very clear that we need to have focus. It's best the range of autonomous application is very big, but we decided let's focus on those, make traction there, have focus there. If we have too many segments going at the same point in time, we will not make the progress we need to make. But we also see, as you pointed out, these areas or these segments as long-term growth markets, But we also have identified that there's a big complementary fit between those segments, which we then can leverage.
Volvo is a world-class OEM. You make great heavy-duty construction equipment, trucks. You make really great over-the-road trucks. So you're making great products. Why was the Volvo Autonomous Solutions division was created? Was it created to highlight, to augment, to complement your traditional manufacturing business where you're making world-class products?
Before the inception of Volvo Autonomous Solutions, which started in 2020, we had actually within the group several development tracks for autonomous technology. So we had it in our construction business, we had it in our truck businesses, we had it in our R&D facilities. And it came to a point where we just said it makes sense to put this all together, to leverage that, and to create this business area, Volvo Autonomous Solutions. And it's pretty important because to create a business area within the Volvo Group is a big sign. The last time we had created a business area was more than 2 decades prior. So it was a big step for us. But being a standalone business area means that we have the full development responsibility over all L4 applications. We are also responsible for its commercialization, and it also means we have the full P&L responsibility. So we are empowered. That empowerment creates accountability. And at the end, it's, as always, focus will turn into traction. And this has been confirmed since we've started as Volvo Autonomous Solutions. We, of course, were able to drive that opportunity forward in a different way. And of course, for us, it's not just a technology, it's building a business. So building a business is really the core reason why Volvo Autonomous Solutions was created, having a clear focus on commercialization and having an attractive business model.
What it says to the investor, it sends a big signal, but it sends a bullish signal. 2 decades since a new division was created, you have full control over the P&L. It says to me from an investor standpoint, Volvo AB is all in on autonomy. Volvo AB clearly sees the potential profits from this, and they see a very big business to scale. With that in mind, what is Volvo Autonomous commercial business model?
Yeah, thank you. And it's an important question you raised. And I would argue it's not a one-size-fits-all situation we're having. We have to focus on the 3 industry verticals, and we have a different approach for them. For quarry and mining, here we have a full-stack solution. And what does that mean? Full-stack solution means we have built our own virtual driver for this segment, and we're then integrating this driver into our truck or into our machine. By that, we have the full-stack solution, and this complete offering distinguishes us from others. Actually, it makes us unique. And we have the same logic, actually, for many use cases in ports logistics centers, where we can also offer a full-stack solution. So we take our truck, autonomy-enabled, and then we take our own virtual driver, integrated. But for the more complex environment on public roads, the hub-to-hub use case, here we have developed a strong partnership with Aurora. So it's a different model. We're developing the autonomy-enabled truck. We're developing the redundancy, so to speak. And then Aurora has developed the virtual driver, but we do the integration together. So in other words, we have different models per industry verticals, full-stack solution here, partnership model on the other.
Will those business models change? I love the fact that you're controlling your own destiny, quarry, mining, ports, and logistics. Those are going to be highly profitable markets that are going to extremely benefit from autonomy. And then you're doing the right thing. You're leveraging your heritage, and you're building a redundant truck platform to enable your partners to build a virtual driver on top of it. Mm-hmm. Will the business models be different for all these applications in terms of how you charge your customers for the service or for the technology?
That's a good question. And we believe that, of course, you need to tailor your business model and your go-to-market strategy based on the segment you're in. But when it comes to autonomy, I think all of those segments have one thing in common. This is a new technology, and this is also a very complex technology. So we believe that going to market at this stage is best from a view from our customers if we provide a complete offer. And basically what we're doing, we're offering our product as a service. So we have developed transport as a service model, which we will use particularly in the beginning of autonomy, because we think here we can really bring the value of autonomous to our customers in the most efficient way for them. But I think it's also a good way to bring this technology to market overall. It is highly complex. In particular, in the first years, it will not be too easy to deal with this complexity from a customer point of view. So we believe we have to play a bigger role in order to bring this economy to life and in order to bring this economy to markets. We should also understand that in the first years when autonomy is getting launched, we will not benefit from scaling effects. So the trucks and machines, as they are equipped with the redundant technology, with the virtual drivers, they will be at a very different price point than a standard truck. And to facilitate this also with the transport as a service model will be beneficial, we believe, for our customers. But I should point out, we will not have transport as a service only. We will have different models, and we will provide a range of opportunities for our customers where they can pick from. But we at the moment have a lot of focus on transport as a service. But by offering transport as a service, where we provide a full solution, it is actually much easier to scale back from that than to add on that one.
And from your customer standpoint, they don't have to worry about the CapEx, say the 500,000, 750,000 US or whatever that dollar amount is to do those trucks. You're enabling your customers, if you want to use the term, dip their toes in to try autonomy to see if they like it. I think it's a really good way to move into this. And thank you for highlighting economy. Volvo Autonomous Solutions, you're laying the groundwork to enable what I call the autonomy economy, as I believe autonomy will become one of the largest industries in the world. And you're laying the groundwork there with transport as a service. You're laying it there with your fully integrated quarry and mining, ports, and logistics. Why were these verticals chosen for autonomy? Was it the business case? Was it the long-term economics? Or was it that the technology complements each other really well? Why were those verticals chosen?
I think a little bit of everything, but on top of that, these are industry verticals where we have a lot of tradition, where we have long-standing customer relationships, where we have experience, where we have expertise. They're also complementary to each other. They have different timelines, but we thought actually it's very important for us to start deploying autonomous solutions at an earlier point in time, using the quarry and mining segment, where you are having a much more controlled environment. It's a confined environment where it is less complex than being on public roads. So we can gain experience here, which then, of course, will help us also as we move towards more complex environments.
And as those businesses get larger, how will they be managed? Will you have a general manager of quarry and mining, a general manager of ports and logistics, a general manager of over the road? How, as those businesses grow and eventually they could become their own P&Ls if it got big enough, how will they be managed?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. And actually, our organizational footprint has been, our org charts, they have been developing over time. Previously, in the first years, this was very much technology heavy. So it was about building the technology. So we were having also a very high percentage of our workforce working in our technology teams. Now we're becoming more product and more solution focused, and that also becomes visible in our workforce. We are also expanding from a geographical point of view. We have recently announced that Sasko Shuklev will be leading our hub-to-hub business, and he will, for that reason, be located in the US. He has actually moved to the US. We have, for that reason, also opened an operations center in Texas and in Fort Worth. So, in other words, we had a European footprint. We had a certain footprint in the US already, but we're expanding this. But important to point out is that the ownership, when it comes to the customer interface, is within our solutions department. So we have solution teams focusing on quarry and mining, and we have one focusing on hub-to-hub. And they are ultimately then also owning a respective P&L, and they are responsible and accountable for that. And as we grow internationally, I think we will be pragmatic, we will be reasonable, but it's foreseeable that also in other geographies we will grow over time.
As you look to grow over time and grow your business, let's look at quarry and mining for a minute. Are those, from the customer standpoint, are those traditional customers that have human-driven trucks are approaching you and saying, hey, Nils, we would like to explore autonomy, same for ports? Is that where your customers are coming from? Are they already pre-existing customers, or is this new customers that are coming and say, we really like what Volvo's doing in autonomy, we want to deploy this at our sites?
Yeah, that's a great question. Actually, we have both. We have our traditional customer base, but we have also new customers which act as first movers in this industry, which come to us because they have seen, have heard what we're doing, and they like that, and they want to engage with us and explore joint opportunities in order to leverage that technology.
Volvo's Autonomous Solutions, you're taking an international approach. You mentioned the Dallas-Fort Worth region, commonly referred to as DFW. You're going to be deploying the hub-to-hub transport service area. That individual moved to the United States to run that business. Walk me through the business model in the DFW region. How's it going to work? What routes are you going to focus on?
So for us, it's the business model, so to speak, for hub-to-hub business. And here it is starting point, transport as a service. So we are offering this product, in other words, as a service. And if you think of hub-to-hub, then this is actually nothing you can do on your own. Actually, what you're doing, you're creating an ecosystem with various players which are getting involved. So in order to provide this service, there are several components which you need to have. Of course, you need to have the autonomy-enabled truck, but then, of course, you need to have a virtual driver. Here we have the partnership with Aurora. But then you need to have a lot of other systems. You need to have safety systems. You need to have infrastructure support systems like the hub terminals. But you also need to have certain transport control and monitoring systems. And if we speak about those hubs, then I think that is an important part where you have a new entrant, so to speak, or a new participant in this ecosystem. As these hubs partially do exist, partially they will be built new. But you need to integrate this, and you need to work with others together. But in order to have this transportation service, you need more. You need to have certain digital products. You need to have uptime functionality. You need to have service maintenance. The role of the distribution channel, the Volvo dealer channel comes into play. But then it's also around operations. How do you operate these terminals? Who is doing that? Several parties will be involved to do that. But what you hear is it's quite complex. There are many involved, and it's a little bit a puzzle. And that's why we're believing having one solution for our customer, bundling this is particularly in the early days very important. And that's why we have decided to start with this offering the product as a service, food transport as a service. It's up to the customer at the end to decide how much support, how much responsibilities do I want to hand over, how many will I take for myself. But that's how we see it. And then the initial routes will be in the Texas Triangle, and from there, of course, we'll go east and then west across the Sun Belt.
You're operating in an environment with a great regulatory environment and really good weather conditions. Yeah. And we're clearly seeing that from everybody that's deployed there. Partnerships are what's going to make autonomy go round. Autonomy, in my opinion, will not be able to scale without partnerships. I've been spending a lot of time studying terminals from an infrastructure capital perspective. Do you envision these terminals being shared? Will they be Volvo only operated terminals, or how do you envision these terminals scaling?
I believe that this is an area where one needs to work together, where you need to have a partnership approach. I don't think that autonomy will benefit if we want to have exclusive terminals. I think the more we do together as an industry, the better. But you, of course, also know that these hub terminals, which are getting introduced, they, of course, make the use case, they make the ODD simpler. But as technology evolves, the dependency on these terminals will reduce, and we actually already have today a lot of distribution centers which are close to the highway. So I believe that over time we will not only use terminals, we will also use the existing infrastructure, at least the one which is in relative proximity to the highways.
You're right about that. There's interesting studies of taking pre-existing infrastructure from a depot distribution center and upgrading it for autonomous launching and landing pads to ensure it's safe. And then from the other side, the human driver can go there. We're starting to see a lot of really interesting engineering work done there on that standpoint. So you have the partnership on the depots, terminals, and then you have the partnerships with DHL and Uber Freight. All signs point to you're commercializing this business. You're not just operating a business, you're commercializing the business. Can you talk about the partnerships with DHL and Uber Freight, please?
Yes, absolutely. I'm very proud to have these partners with DHL and Uber Freight. We have the objective to integrate the autonomous transport as a part of both companies' current operations. Speaking about Uber Freight, then that partnership is really about integrating our autonomous transport solution with Uber Freight's logistics platform, and then working together towards offering autonomous freight capacity on selected routes, starting in Texas, to the Uber Freight customer base. When we speak about DHL, this is very much focused on piloting and eventually commercializing also an autonomous transport solution for the DHL operation. Within this cooperation, we're addressing now the steps which are required that we can bring autonomous solutions to market in a safe and sustainable approach. We're working very close together. We have actually started this year to pool loads manually for DHL and Uber Freight. And we're putting in place all the procedures, the process steps which are needed to develop this new transportation value chain, and to do this, of course, in a safe and in a reliable form. That also means we have started to integrate with our cloud solution into their company's IT platforms to also have their seamless way of working. But you're right, this is about building a business, and that's, of course, very, very important for us.
You're learning. You're laying the groundwork of learning. I use the analogy, you're going to school, essentially, because you're doing everything to learn. You just can't wake up one day and say, hi, I'm going to build a cloud compute server. No, you have to learn all the components. If you want to use AWS, you need the EC2 compute, you need the S3 bucket, you need to know all the components to do it. Or my wife bakes. Okay, so you're going to make a really great cake. You have to know all the ingredients that go into that. And that's what you're clearly doing there with Volvo Autonomous Solutions. We talked a lot about operating as transport as a service, and you also mentioned that Volvo will operate other models in the future. When you operate those other models, I think about the truck assets. They're a large CapEx item, especially if you're going to operate a large fleet. Who will own the truck assets? Will Volvo Group own them on your balance sheet? Will you offload the asset to a bank and then lease it back to your customer? What will it look like from a truck asset perspective?
Yeah, good question. And I think this will evolve. I think it's early days. I believe that the first generation we will house on our balance sheet. And we can leverage, of course, the strengths of the Volvo Group, but also to say that we have a financial services division, and the portfolio we have in Volvo Financial Services is around 24 billion US dollar. I don't know exactly what the exchange rate, but in other words, we have the capability to use this leverage balance sheet. The US portfolio is actually the single largest portfolio we have in the financial service division, so we can absolutely do that and play that strengths we have within the group.
When you own your own bank, you have a lot of options, and you give your customers a lot of options, and it helps you scale your business. You look at your balance sheet. It's public for the investors on here. I highly encourage you to look at the Volvo AB balance sheet. You'll be able to see what Nils and the team Volvo Autonomous Solutions will be able to do because of the strength of their balance sheet. Nils, when your customers have the option to choose their own virtual driver on specific routes, let's just say customer A is going from Dallas to Houston, and then customer B is going from Dallas to Oklahoma City, and then customer C is going from Dallas Fort Worth to Albuquerque, where certain virtual drivers perform better in certain environments. Perhaps one virtual driver is better going through mountain passes and winds, and one virtual driver is better in this environment. Will your customers have the option to choose the virtual driver for the route based on their needs?
Yeah, that's a good question. And I can throw that question a little bit back to you. I mean, when we talk to our customers, some of them are actually rather happy that we talk to them in a certain way, and we don't talk too much about how far our lidars can see, etc., because our customers usually tell us they're not so much interested in that. They're interested in how their freight gets moved from A to B. And I mean, that's actually what we focus on, and not so much about, at least in our communication to our customers, and not so much about the specifications, which often are not always understandable for everyone. But to come back to your question, will there be the offer for several virtual drivers? And quite clear, today we have one partnership, and that is with Aurora. So today, no, we will deploy the Aurora driver. That's where we stand. Can things evolve in the future? Never say never, but today we have strong focus. We're very happy, very proud to have this, really good partnership with Volvo.
Well, the big metric that your customers look at, will it be uptime, on-time delivery, where this is performing at, okay, you've got a 99.9% on-time delivery. Will on-time delivery be the big metric, or will cost outweigh on-time delivery?
I think it's efficiency overall, which is important, and that includes, for example, also predictability. But I mean, if you go coast to coast, if you do that today with manual drivers, it takes you X days. If you do that with autonomous, you will save a lot of time. and only the savings you have there are, of course, enormous and super meaningful. I actually believe that with autonomous trucks getting on the road, particularly in the US, that is something which will create GDP growth, because the savings will be substantial, the productivity gains will be substantial, and it's something which will get realized. So it is really a productivity gain which is really important, and the speed is something which we shouldn't underestimate, and it's something which we also hear from our customers. They're really looking forward that, we have trucks being on the road which don't need a coffee break, which don't need a rest break, and all of that. I think that is super important as we make this happen.
Autonomous trucks are good for the economy. Autonomous trucks are good for the economy. Autonomous trucks will lead to GDP growth. Spot on that one. It's coming. It's good for the economy. And they will also help to battle this nasty thing that's not transitory called inflation. When you're operating your transport as a service solution, are there minimums associated in terms of volume that your customers have to move?
No, I don't think so. We haven't really looked into that carefully, but I think there has to be, of course, a certain reasonable amount which you have to take. So we think there will be certain levels required, but I think these are more understandable and reasonable amounts. But otherwise, particularly, with the cooperation or the partnership with Uber Freight, then it is less than a truckload, which is possible.
Yeah. We met early on in this conversation. You mentioned fuel cells. Volvo AB is very publicly committed to sustainability. It's one of the core values of Volvo AB. At the logistics centers, when you start to build these out, electrification is going to become paramount. What is Volvo's Autonomous Solutions electrification strategy? We eventually look to incorporate autonomous fuel cell trucks into the operation, electric trucks. What are you going to do from an electrification strategy standpoint?
Yeah, I think there is not one silver bullet, we used to say. I think we have to have different options, and we're pursuing those. But for Volvo Autonomous Solutions, it's of course very important that we can benefit what is happening within the Volvo Group. We have been early out with electric buses, and we've learned a lot from deploying those. For us, electrification is something we're into since quite some time. We have well-proven technology. We have electric vehicles running in real operations. We have sold Volvo trucks. We have sold together 5,000 electric trucks already. So we have a lot of experience. Being part of that group is, of course, a great opportunity. And of course, we will incorporate electrification as part of the strategy and this offering to the customer. In particular for long haul, and that is what the hub-to-hub business is. Eventually, to bring in fuel cell electric truck makes a lot of sense. I can't give you now a path when that will happen, but we, of course, look at this, and of course it makes sense for us that we marry these two technologies together. But I want to point out actually that in the quarry and mining segment, we already have an electrified solution. We have the so-called Tara solution, which is an electric autonomous hauler, which is built from the ground for autonomous use, and that is fully electric. We are at the moment building the first project together with Holcim in Switzerland. So we're developing this, we're testing that. We'll run at a limestone in Switzerland. And of course, the Tara solution, electric autonomous hauler, is much more sustainable than the conventional haulers. But it's not only more sustainable, but it's also much safer. So we also know that in particular in the quarry and mining segment, electrification plays a big role. We have a lot of focus on that. And we're very proud to have actually the first electric and autonomous hauling solution with our Tara solution available.
Mining historically, and this is based on data from the International Council of Minerals and Metals, is historically very dangerous. And if you can put an autonomous solution in that environment, save lives, that's a positive day. That's a great day when you deploy your system and somebody saves their life because you're running an autonomous electric solution. The mines, in my opinion, they have to get cleaned. A lot of mines are very dirty. The ICMM is working with their members to clean up the mines, especially as society transfers to electric vehicles. And now why not make the mines cleaner and make them safer? And when we can do that, society wins as a whole. And that's a really great thing. And you're leading the way with Volvo's electric autonomous mining solution.
Yeah, and I just wanted to point out safety in mining and quarry application is really, really important. we have been working now since quite some time with quarries and mines, and we have actually witnessed firsthand that there is still a very high rate of accident. And to remove the human being from this hazardous environment is really a key objective for us. I want to point out that while we have the Taurus solution, which is electric, we also deploy conventional trucks. And we have, since the beginning of the year, we operate actually in a mine in Norway. It's a gold mine with 7 autonomous trucks autonomously. And those 7 trucks actually run also simultaneously. And this is the first of its kind. It's what I said earlier, it's a full stack solution. So we have built the virtual driver, we've integrated that on a truck, which we actually took from the line and then upfitted it for autonomous use. And we are also the one who actually own the safety case. So it's not the customer which was looking or which had to go and get the licenses and the permits. We actually did that as Volvo Autonomous Solutions. So we received all the permits from the Norwegian authorities, and we are now, since the beginning of the year, operating fully autonomously. So we have actually removed the safety driver, and we have done now, I think, 12,000 kilometers since the beginning of this year, transporting or hauling limestone for Brønnøysund, which is the name of the customer in Norway, in a rather really difficult environment with narrow tunnels, with very difficult climatic conditions, with summer which lasts maybe four weeks in the year. The rest is rather winterish or rather demanding climate, but close to the ocean. So you also have salty air. It's a mine. You have a lot of dust. You have a lot of dirt. So having been able to do that is really important. And if we speak to our customer here, one of the key things they wanted to establish was really safety and taking out the human being from this rather dangerous, hazardous environment.
It's very interesting that you help get the permits for the mining operation in Norway. When you deploy full stack mining operations at other mines and quarries around the world, do you also help with the regulatory environment if that's an ask from your customer?
Well, in the case of Brønnøysund, it's actually us which are doing the transportation in the mine. So we're operating on behalf of the customer. The customer can focus on their core. Our core is transportation or hauling. We know how to do this. So in that sense, we, as we are the operator, we of course have to seek for the permits, etc. And it depends a little bit on the customer's demands or on what model the customer wants. But very often, of course, we see ourselves in the position that we will have to apply for these permits, and also not only apply for the permits. I mean, we are the ones who have to have a high integrity safety solution in place, and we need to be able to prove that.
You're making it easy for your customers to deploy autonomous solutions. You're taking away the friction. You're taking away the guessing game, saying we're really good at hauling. We understand the technology. We understand the regulatory landscape, and we're going to do it for you. And you're allowing them to operate their business as you operate your transport business. We mentioned Norway. We mentioned Switzerland. We mentioned the United States. Volvo AB clearly has a global perspective. It clearly has global ambitions. How is Volvo Autonomous Solutions planning to scale autonomy globally?
Yeah, that's a very good question. And I think, first of all, it's very important to understand that, particularly when we speak about trucks, we're not just building an autonomous truck. What we're actually building is an autonomous truck platform. So we, of course, need to build redundancy, particularly for the US hub-to-hub business, which we all know is the biggest opportunity we see. But what we're doing is we're building this technology in a way we call CAST. CAST stands for Common Architecture and Shared Technology. So that means the redundancy we are developing, we're bringing that actually to all the truck brands we have. So it's not just the Volvo VNL in the US, it is also the Mack truck brand, it is the Renault truck brand, and it is the European Volvo truck platform, or Volvo truck, which will also have the ability to use this redundancy platform. That means eventually we are able to scale autonomy across our truck brands. By that, we can scale it across geographies, we can scale it across business models, and we also can scale it across various industry verticals. We're operating in 3 today, but as I told you, once we have more traction here, we also think we can expand that to other industry verticals. But that's our strategy, building a truck platform which can be deployed in various ways. Today, that truck platform is on diesel, but of course, as we grow our business, we will also electrify and eventually also have fuel cell options for that.
As you scale a platform, I think profitability. That's what that all leads to, and your investors are going to be happy about that because you're building. I'm going to call it the profitable autonomous platform, because mining is going to be profitable for you. Over-the-road trucking is going to be profitable for you. It's going to reward your customers. It's going to reward your shareholders. It's going to reward the environment. And that's what we call a win-win-win situation. And that's what you're clearly building at Volvo Autonomous Solutions. In your opinion, Nils, what is the future of autonomy?
Great questions. I think I have different views on that. But let me start maybe with the segments which are not operating on public roads. Because that, I think, is something we all see start taking off now. And if it's not happening now, then it will happen in the near future. So we will see more and more of those. And of course, in the industry verticals we play, Volvo will be a key player, or is already. If we speak about deployment on public road, I think today we experience already the first use cases. We have selected US cities like Las Vegas, San Francisco, where you see in the daily life now robotaxis. And I think that's great. This will continue. And I think this growth will continue in a defined environment, though. And maybe always what we have in this industry, the speed of scaling will be moderate. But nevertheless, it has started and it will continue to evolve. But what I believe is the biggest development which we all will see, and that is the start of autonomous trucking. I think we all agree it will start in the US, it will start in the Sun Belt, and this is also happening in a well understood and well defined and well managed environment. But we will see that, and everybody will experience that, but everyone will experience the positive impact it has. But then eventually, I think we will see more and more deployment for different use cases across different geographies. This will progress, and I think it will help also society to see better the benefit of this new technology. I think it will be a very exciting time we have ahead of us. I think actually the next decade will bring a lot around automation. We as human beings, we will benefit from that. But it's of course very important that we need to deploy this technology with a high degree of responsibility. And if we do that, then the advantages, they will be rich.
They will be rich, and it will help to usher in the autonomy economy. The next decade is going to be exciting. The technology is going to mature. The technology is going to scale. Businesses are going to be created. The economy is going to benefit. The environment is going to benefit. As we look to wrap up this insightful conversation, what would you like our listeners to take away with them today?
Yeah, thanks. The first takeaway for me is I want them to take away that Volvo Autonomous Solutions, we are a company which is guided by safety. It is us, Volvo. We invented in the late 50s the 3-point safety belt. We then gave it away as a free patent to the industry. And since then, it's estimated to have saved over 1 million lives. I think autonomy can actually be the next chapter in this journey towards a much more safe and more sustainable future. I also personally believe that autonomy will really help solving real-world problems. I spoke to safety, but we covered the need for additional freight capacity. But I also think that autonomy will help to unlock certain bottlenecks for trade, like ports, for example, where we've seen in the pandemic periods that they became bottlenecks, limited trade. But I also believe that autonomy will help us to deploy transportation in a more sustainable way. Autonomy will allow us to move goods faster, safer, more efficient. The way we transport, the way we haul will be different. That, however, will create growth in GDP. And in essence, I think autonomy will play a crucial role in driving prosperity, creating a future we all want to be part of. And Volvo Autonomous Solutions is right positions to benefit from that and help particularly our customers to take benefit of automation.
Volvo Autonomous Solutions is prepared for the future of autonomy. The future of autonomy will benefit society. The future is bright. The future is autonomous. The future is Volvo Autonomous Solutions. Nils, thank you so much for coming on the road to autonomy today.
Thanks a lot.
If you've enjoyed listening, please kindly rate, review, and subscribe on your favorite podcast platform. Want to get in touch? Follow us on Twitter, Instagram and YouTube at Road to Autonomy, or email podcast@roadtoautonomy.com. The Road to Autonomy podcast is produced by the Road to Autonomy LLC. The views and opinions expressed on the Road to Autonomy podcast do not necessarily reflect those views of the Road to Autonomy, its subsidiaries, its shareholders, directors, investors, or partners. The content discussed on this podcast is for informational purposes only. It should not be taken as legal, investment, tax, or business advice. Nothing is a recommendation that you purchase, sell, or hold any security or other investment, or that you pursue any investment style or strategy. The content of this podcast is presented on an as-is basis with no warranties, express or implied, of any kind. Financial mentions about companies in the Road to Autonomy Index and discussions about the Road to Autonomy Indexes are for informational purposes only and should not be relied upon when making any investment decision. Furthermore, an inclusion of security within the Road to Autonomy Index is not a recommendation by the Road to Autonomy Indices LLC to buy, sell, or hold that such security, nor is it considered to be investment advice.